Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Wednesday night Halacha Chassidus. Thank you for coming. We're starting with a topic of Halacha that was inspired by tonight, and tomorrow's special day of Tu B'Shvat, 15th day of Shvat. Many people on this day love eating all sorts of fruits and saying brachas on them, and that brings up all sorts of questions about the order of brachas. If you have multiple fruits in front of you, which one do you say first? The order, if you have wheat and if you have olives and dates and so on and so forth, what is the order of brachos? But we're not going to talk about that. Instead, we're going to talk about the bracha of Shehechiyanu, which many people also on Tu B'Shvat, on Chamisha Asar B'Shvat, as the Rebbe called it, the 15th of Shvat, many people like to get a new fruit, which we're also not going to discuss. What is the definition of a new fruit? Exactly. It's a little bit, okay. What we are going to discuss is if you have a fruit that is a new fruit for you, it's a new fruit, and you want to say the bracha of Shehechiyanu, thanking Hashem for bringing you to this new fruit, this new time, etc. What do you do first? Do you say the Shehechiyanu bracha followed by the bracha on the fruit, or do you say the fruit bracha, Breper Ha'etz, followed by Shehechiyanu? And the answer, obviously, is it depends who you ask. That's always the answer, right? Let's take a look inside the Shulchan Aruch for starters. We're in Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim, Siman Reish Chof Hey, which those simanim over there are dealing with different laws of brachos. This is towards the end of those laws of brachos. It says as follows: Sif Gimel. If a person sees a new fruit that is mischadish, that is renewed from year to year, mevarich Shehechiyanu, you say the bracha Shehechiyanu, afilu royehu b'yad chaveiro, even if you see it, your buddy's holding it, oy al ha'ilan, or it's still attached to the tree. Nevertheless, you say Shehechiyanu when you see it. However, continues the Mechaber, the Shulchan Aruch, v'nogu shaloi levarich ad shas achila. However, the common practice is not to recite the bracha Shehechiyanu when you see it, but rather to recite it when you eat it. No mention of the order, however. Does it precede the bracha ha'etz or does it follow the bracha ha'etz? Says the Rambam, if you said the bracha when you saw it, not when you eat it, even though the Rambam agrees that the custom is to say it when you eat it, not when you see it. But if you said it when you saw it, lo yihifsid. No, you don't lose out. What does it mean? I guess it means, okay, no, it wasn't necessarily the ideal way to do it, but you still said the bracha, and that's okay. You're not allowed to say the bracha until the fruit actually is ripe. So if you see a vineyard with the tiny little grapes that are just starting to grow, you cannot say it then. You'd have to wait till it's actually fully grown. And if you happen to see it once already, and you, for whatever reason, did not make the bracha, you could say it again the next time. The reason being, primarily, because people don't always pay attention to the things they see, and maybe they're not, okay, you walked by a lemon tree or whatever, I don't know, you walked by some kind of other fruit tree, a fig tree, and it's growing, you didn't really notice it so much. So it says that no, that's okay. If you didn't say it when you first saw it, you could still say the bracha Shehechiyanu at a later date. Good, that's the Shulchan Aruch. Let's now take a step back in time to the Beis Yosef, who of course is the same person as the Shulchan Aruch. But his commentary here, the Beis Yosef on the Torah, predates the Shulchan Aruch. It's on in the middle of the line. The custom is that even though technically you could say Shehechiyanu when you see it, either growing on the tree or even in someone's hand, nevertheless, as the Beis Yosef, we say it, the common practice is to say it when you eat it. Kamoi, just like another time that we say the bracha Shehechiyanu. Kamoi Shehechiyanu de'asiyas lulav v'sukkah. Right, we say a bracha Shehechiyanu on the sukkah and the lulav. When do we say that bracha? Do we say Shehechiyanu when we build the sukkah? No. In theory, why not? But we don't do that. Same thing with the lulav. We don't say it when we buy it. or when we bind them together. You say it only when you actually do the mitzvah. So we see already a precedent of not saying Shehechiyanu at the earlier time. So when do we say the bracha Shehechiyanu? By these other mitzvahs of lulav and sukkah? And there's a whole discussion about Rosh Hashanah also, about the Shehechiyanu and Rosh Hashanah, first night only, second night also, and we're not going to get into that discussion. So says the Beis Yosef, the precedent is you say it not at the earlier opportunity of when you either saw it or when you built it, etc., but rather at some later date. So too here, the common practice is to say the bracha Shehechiyanu when we eat it. That's the Beis Yosef. Good.
On Sukkot is, I forget, is it first night or the second night? Well, one of the nights you say the Shehechiyanu before the
Sukkah.
Yeah.
Let's leave that for a shir for Sukkot.
Right.
But yes,
it's not related to this.
No. Well, what's related is the fact that we say the bracha in the sukkah during Kiddush,
as opposed
rather
to
than when you built the sukkah.
When you buy it or whatever.
Right. Buy it. Who buys a sukkah? You build a sukkah.
Builds by the wood.
Right. Okay.
It's a new sukkah.
Exactly. Let's take a look at the next source, the Kaf HaChaim, Sfardi. So he's going on the Shulchan Aruch that says we only say the bracha, or not only, but the common practice is to say the bracha when we eat it. Ve'atam kosav Beis Yosef b'shem haRosh. Beis Yosef tells us the reason. He says the Kaf HaChaim. Look at the Beis Yosef that we just saw, quoting the Rosh. This is lulav v'sukkah. Shekam yishas kiddush hayoyim. Markan l'shoyne. Direct quote from the Beis Yosef we just saw. So Kaf HaChaim is going on the Beis Yosef. Ve'alavush kosav atam. The Lavush, so that's one reason. One reason we just saw from the Beis Yosef is we're going to stay consistent. We're going to have all Shechiyanus are going to be consistent. The Lavush brings now another reason. The Lavush kotvatam mishum debriyo lavada, just by seeing the fruit. Lifamam adamiroye v'lavadaite. Sometimes you see it and you weren't even so much. You didn't even realize it. You weren't paying attention to it really. Masha'enkim b'shas achila. When you're eating it, how could you not be paying attention to the fruit you're eating when you're eating it? So that's the appropriate time, says the Lavush, to say the bracha Shehechiyanu, not when you see it. When you see it, you saw it, you didn't see it, you drove past it, who knows? There's not as much attention to the fruit when you just see it. So says the Lavush, another reason on top of the Beis Yosef, therefore we say the bracha Shehechiyanu when we eat it. Is it okay so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's now take a look in the Alter Rebbe. The Seder Birkas Hanenim from the Alter Rebbe, Perek Yud Aleph, chapter 11. Halacha Yud Beis. And again, these are talking about all different halachas of Shehechiyanu in this chapter, and also about all sorts of different brachas. Hatoiv HaMeitiv. Also, Shehechiyanu continues the next chapter, chapter 12 as well. More details of the halachas of Shehechiyanu. A child is born, a new house, new garments. That's in the next chapter. But here, we're going to read about the fruit. Let's take a look. I think that was exactly the same language as the Shulchan Aruch there. One who sees a new fruit which is renewed from year to year. Now we have an addition from the Alter Rebbe that we don't have in the Shulchan Aruch. Twice a year even. So now we've narrowed down what it means new. A strict reading of the Shulchan Aruch, new fruit is a fruit that only ripens and grows once a year. But the Alter Rebbe adds, no, maybe even twice a year. If you have a fruit that gives 2 crops 2 times a year, you might be able to say Shehechiyanu on that. And when you see the fruit, you take pleasure in seeing that fruit. In such a case, you say Shehechiyanu, just like the Shulchan Aruch, even if someone's holding it or if it's still attached to the tree. But the flip side is, but if you don't enjoy, you don't take pleasure in seeing that fruit, interesting. Then you only say the bracha when you eat it. Why? Because you didn't take pleasure in seeing it on the tree. Why would you not take pleasure in seeing a beautiful fruiting tree? I don't know. But right, some trees have beautiful flowers. You can't say the bracha then anyway, right? You can't say the bracha on Shehechiyanu, which is when the fruit is flowering. It's not a fruit. Like we saw before in the Ramah, you have to be when the fruit is fully ripened. Okay.
One question.
Yeah.
The tzad to say the bracha when you see it, do you have to have it in mind that you're going to eat it? In other words,
no.
you're doing it. So,
no.
So just see it.
Yeah.
You're not going to eat it.
That's the hana. That's the pleasure. Meaning, what is
Pleasure
Shehechiyanu?
is the seeing. It's
Yeah.
seeing.
So Shehechiyanu, there's different types of Shehechiyanus, right?
Right.
One Shehechiyanu is like a Shehechiyanu for a mitzvah. When you Shehechiyanu b'kimonu v'giyanu lizman hazeh, that we have this new mitzvah, eating matzah or whatever, reading Megillah or Sukkah, etc.
Mhm.
But there's another Shehechiyanu, which is having pleasure from something. A pleasure that's not constant, right? You can't just say Shehechiyanu every day. Sometimes you have pleasure on something. But this renewed, like he says here, once a year, or the Alter Rebbe adds even twice a year, there's a pleasure in it. So as soon as you have the pleasure, you could say Shehechiyanu. That's why the Alter Rebbe says here, if you didn't derive pleasure from seeing it, then you can't say Shehechiyanu. But you don't have to eat it, no. V'hoyel nagu, again, from Shulchan Aruch, straight quote from Shulchan Aruch, basically. But we basically just go general custom across the board. We don't say the bracha under any. He's here. He adds in stronger words. B'chol inyan. Seems that according to the Alter Rebbe, you should not say the bracha. It seems by merely seeing it, because he says b'chol inyan at all under any circumstances. Until you eat it. Why not? Because we don't want to start getting into the details of did you derive pleasure from seeing it? And did you not derive pleasure from seeing it? Across the board, just say it when you eat it. It's the easiest thing to do. Oh, now we're getting to the topic that we're officially trying to get to. First comes the Shehechiyanu, the Alter Rebbe paskins clearly. First comes Shehechiyanu, and then comes the bracha ha'etz, or whatever bracha you're making. Now comes the Alter Rebbe again to quote the Rambam. But if you do say the bracha when you saw it, so he paskins like the Rambam, loy hifsid, provided that im nene briyosai. The Alter Rebbe is a little stricter. I don't know if he's stricter or if he's just more precise in his description of the scenario. You maybe could say the same thing, that the Ramah would hold the same thing, that even according to the Ramah, that if you don't have hana from seeing it, then why are you making a bracha on seeing it? So loy hifsid, no hifsid, you said a bracha l'vatala chas v'shalom, seemingly, if you didn't have hana from seeing it.
What qualifies as hana?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know how we define it, and perhaps that's why the Alter Rebbe says, don't get mixed into hana, yes hana, no hana. Don't get mixed in. Just say the bracha when you eat it. Maybe that's why the Alter Rebbe says this.
Right.
Okay, it's good so far?
But if you do say it, it's okay. You don't lose.
Well, the Alter Rebbe says lo hifsid if you had hana when you saw it.
If you have it. But no.
Because if you don't have hana, then what are you saying the bracha?
Again, like we said before, I know I smiled when I saw it. It was nice, but that is nice. That's the different levels. I know I didn't laugh out loud. I quietly appreciated, kind of thing.
Okay, I remember years ago I went to a wedding in Los Angeles. It was an old friend of mine, a second wedding, and it was February, maybe it was March. So it wasn't such nice weather here, but it was Los Angeles, it was nice weather. The wedding was outside his backyard, surrounded by lemon trees and orange trees. And I had a hana from the sight of those trees. I remember very clearly. I mamish enjoyed that. Who has a lemon tree in their backyard? Orange trees in the backyard? Who has that? In LA, they do have it. That was hana.
But then it was ordinary, everyday thing.
It's everyday thing. They for sure cannot say it. They cannot say Shehechiyanu. It's every day. Okay.
But the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah don't really say the order.
No. But the Alter Rebbe says clearly the order.
He says the order.
First Shehechiyanu, then ha'etz.
Do they say it somewhere else, or this is the whole discussion? In other words,
that's all there is in Shulchan Aruch.
So there's a battle. So we don't know what they hold.
No, we're gonna have to look at some other places.
Okay.
Which thankfully there's a second side to this.
Side B.
Look at that, side B. Let's go to the Prima Gadim. Let's take a look. The Prima Gadim is in the back of the Shulchan Aruch. Like the really small print at the back of the Shulchan Aruch you can't read. That's the Prima Gadim.
So you blew it up.
Well, this is thank you to the modern day invention called Oitzra Chochma, which is a wonderful DVD that not a DVD. Who even knows what a DVD is anymore?
I do.
You do. It's a hard drive with something like 100,000 svarim on it.
Oh.
PDFs, searchable, has the Tzuras Hadaf of every page of these 100,000 svarim. You can search it. It's unbelievable.
It's free?
No,
No.
I bought it. They also have an online version. And anyway, that's where all these sources come from, because I opened it up on Eitzer Chachma, and then there's a little cut and paste. You circle what you want,
Oh.
and it copies a picture of it, and then I just paste it in Word. So here they have this nice mark over here, Mahaduras Friedman, which is a nice print of the Shulchan Aruch. That's the Shulchan Aruch. This is from there. Achila. So you only eat at the time of Achila, the Shulchan Aruch says. So comes the Prima Godim and says, Kosati b'mokum acher, oidus lahaktin Shehechiyanu. Oh, I wrote that you should first say the bracha Shehechiyanu and then the bracha on the fruit. Hainu kishu tchilas riyosei apri. The Chagam needed period. Well, it's not really a period, but I didn't cut the whole thing. So it seems to be that it's based on the idea. Why does Shehechiyanu come first?
See it first.
Because in theory, you should have said it first. You should have said Shehechiyanu when?
Saw it.
When you saw it on the tree. You don't, because practically speaking, we don't get into that. Because again, what exactly is Hana? What exactly is not Hana? And so practically speaking, we say, you're going to say Shehechiyanu when you actually eat the fruit. Nevertheless, chronologically, Shehechiyanu really comes first. Therefore, says the Prima Godim, you say Shehechiyanu first and then Ha'etz. Good, does that make sense? Now, I brought another point for the Prima Godim also, which, okay, we'll just see it. It's not exactly what I wanted to discuss, but we'll read it anyway. This that I wrote, that you should first say Shehechiyanu and then the bracha on the fruit, Ein raya mikiddush v'shofar Megillah. Don't tell me about Kiddush and Shofar Megillah that the bracha comes first and then Shehechiyanu. Why? Kisham eina Shehechiyanu reshus. Because by those things, by Kiddush, Shofar, and Megillah, Shehechiyanu is not a reshus, rak kavua choiv. You're obligated to say it, and therefore ve'in bo shum hefsek. Therefore, it's not an interruption between the bracha for the mitzvah and doing the mitzvah. You hear what he's saying? But here, says the Prima Godim, in the case of saying Shehechiyanu, is there a chiyuv to say the bracha Shehechiyanu? No, just don't eat a new fruit. And then you won't have to say the bracha Shehechiyanu. There's no obligation to say the bracha. It's not like putting on tefillin. Is there a chiyuv to put on tefillin? Yes, you must put on tefillin. You don't have a choice. We don't say Shehechiyanu by that. Separate discussion why you don't say Shehechiyanu by tefillin. Bar mitzvah boy doesn't say Shehechiyanu by tefillin. Although this year someone asked me, okay, separate question. But Mashengen is Mashengen the Peres Rishus. But the brach Shehechiyanu for a new fruit is Rishus.
Is it? Is it a reshus?
Well, when we say it's Rishus,
If you get a no, don't you have to say it? or not?
that's only if you eat it.
Oh, only if you eat it.
Who says you have to eat it?
But what if you get a no from Rhea?
Well, we don't exactly know, like you have not
What that is? What that means?
And we don't want to make distinctions. This person has hana, this person doesn't have hana. So we make it across the board. Everybody has hana when they eat. So if you're eating the fruit, you for sure had hana. So that's an easy time to say the bracha Shehechiyanu.
That's not reshus because you're going to eat it.
That's only if you actually eat it. Meaning, when we say it's reshus, what do we mean it's reshus? What do we mean it's permissible? You're reshus as opposed to chiyuv, an obligation, right? It's an obligation to say Shehechiyanu if you're eating the fruit.
You don't have to eat the fruit.
You don't have to eat it. It's like some people want to be machalik two inyanim in the mitzvah tzitzis, right? Is there a chiyuv for the mitzvah tzitzis?
No. Only if you have a four-corner garment.
Otazai. So says the Minchas Chinuch that in theory you could divide the mitzvah. In theory, you're only chayiv in tzitzis if you're wearing a four-corner garment. No, so don't wear a four-corner garment, and you don't have to wear tzitzis. Are you doing anything wrong?
No.
Practically speaking, we wear tzitzis, right? But without getting into that whole discussion, technically, no, you're not doing anything wrong. You're only chayav if you're wearing a four-corner garment. But who says you have to wear a four-corner garment? So you could say similarly here. You're only chayav, the only chiyuv to say the bracha Shehechiyanu on a fruit is if you eat a fruit. What if you don't eat? So that's why he says, Mashenkin the Peter is Rishus, not the bracha is a Rishus. Eating the fruit is Rishus. So you can't compare that to Shofar, where there's a Shehechiyanu between the bracha of the mitzvah and doing the mitzvah. You insert a bracha Shehechiyanu. Hefsek. It's an interruption. No, it's not an interruption. Because the mitzvah Shofar, for example, is a chiyuv. You're obligated in it. So the Shehechiyanu was mikoyach chiyuv. It's coming for a whole different reason. It has a different power to it.
I understand that difference.
It's more connected to the mitzvah.
But why does that make a difference? Like,
because it's more
does that
intrinsically connected to the mitzvah. So therefore, it's not a rishus. But in the case of the fruits, he says, "Toivel haftim shelo yehefs."
But why would that matter on the order? I don't get it.
Well, because the general rule is as follows, right? After you say a bracha, first of all, we know that in general the order of a bracha is over lasiyos, right? The bracha is before you do the mitzvah. There's exceptions to that, right? But that's what percent? 99% or whatever of mitzvahs. The bracha comes before the mitzvah. Over lasiyos.
What is the over lasiyos?
It means just before the action, before you do the mitzvah. So when do you say the bracha for putting on tefillin?
Where you do it?
Before you put on the tefillin.
Okay.
And then you do it, right? It's like with every mitzvah. When do you say the bracha on the fruit? That's not a mitzvah, but that's a bracha sanen, different. But either way, when do you say the bracha for the shofar? Before blowing the shofar. When do you say the bracha for eating matzah? Before eating the matzah.
Netilas Yadayim is the opposite.
Say it again?
Netilas Yadayim is the opposite, no?
Drawing is part of the mitzvah.
Oh, we spoke about this a little bit. We should learn more the halachas and Netilas Yadayim, a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
The basics are wash your hands, but after that it gets complicated. So I think what he's saying is that here, so when you're obligated to do a mitzvah, so number one, you have to say the bracha before the mitzvah.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Again, with certain exceptions, but that's number one. Number two, if that's a new mitzvah by which we're going to recite Shehechiyanu, so the Shehechiyanu, I have no choice. I'm going to have to recite Shehechiyanu. It's automatically carried along, so to speak. It's automatically schlepped along with the bracha for the mitzvah itself and the mitzvah itself. So it's more closely connected to the mitzvah in a sense, because it's a chiyuv, it's an obligation to do it. So therefore, it's not a hefsek, it's not an interruption.
It's an interruption for the bracha on the mitzvah.
Right.
So why don't we flip it? Why not just do the Shehechiyanu and then the bracha on the mitzvah? What's wrong with that? We're saying the mitzvah, the bracha on the mitzvah is a hefsek for Shehechiyanu?
No. Why would we not flip it?
Yeah, so I'm understanding
probably
why
because
this makes a difference.
Probably because would it be tadir? I don't think it's tadir.
Both coming once a year.
What?
They're both coming once a year.
Right.
Right. Oh.
That's the question you're also bothered by? That's what you're also asking?
Yeah, so I'm asking. In other words,
why don't we just do the bracha shechem and then for the shofar?
Why the fact that it's
because the ikar is not Shehechiyanu, the ikar is the mitzvah.
So the ikar goes first.
The ikar goes first. But in the case of the pre, says the Pri Megadim, the ikar is still the fruit, right? Because you're not going to randomly say Shehechiyanu on a fruit that you're not even eating. The ikar is the fruit. However, he's concerned that maybe the Shehechiyanu is going to be an interruption because you don't really have to eat the fruit anyway. So if you don't have to eat the fruit, then why are you doing it for? Oh, you want to have the fruit because you like it. Good, so have the fruit because you like it. But maybe then Shehechiyanu is going to get in the way of the bracha on the fruit and create a...
Is the Shehechiyanu on the shofar or on the sukkah and whatever, or is it on the day? Like in other words,
at night it's on
because the women do it on the candlelight.
So with Rosh Hashanah, it's more of a complicated question. There's a whole discussion I didn't bring because it gets into a whole nother...
Because that would make sense, because then it's not really, you're not making a Shehechiyanu on this act. The Shehechiyanu is on the day, so the bracha comes first for the thing.
And that's why we do it by Kiddush. So
Right.
there's a fixed time to do it, and it's on the day, but it goes on all the other mitzvahs. Okay, shofar is more
A shofar is separate,
Shofar is more
okay.
complicated because
Because
that's
we
why it says that the Baal Tokeh should wear a new garment on the second day.
Right.
It's a whole more complicated thing. Okay, let's go weiter just so that we can go weiter.
Yeah.
Let's look at the Mishnah Berurah on the same siman in Shulchan Aruch, Reish Chaf Hei. Let's look at Mishnah Berurah Sif Yud Aleph. Ad Sha'as Achila. The custom is we say the bracha when you eat it. The Misha in Liboy Samech B'Riyosoi Rak B'Chilosoi, that if you don't derive pleasure, if you're not happy this is basically the same as the Alter Rebbe. If you're not happy from seeing the fruit and only rak b'achilos, and you're only going to really be happy when you're actually eating the fruit. Who cares to see it, right? So in such a scenario, everyone agrees. So he's saying here clearly that I'm also. Everyone would agree that you would only say the bracha when you eat it. So we don't want to make differentiations. You say it when you see it. You say it when you eat it. See it, eat it, see it, eat it. No, everybody across the board. Lo plug means across the board. Lo plug really means like don't divide. We don't want to make distinctions. Just everyone should say Shehechiyanu when they eat it. V'ayin b'pri megadim shekosav. We'll go look in the Pri Megadim that we just saw. The lechatchila nachal levarich Shehechiyanu koidem. He says really you should say Shehechiyanu first, and then the proper bracha in this period. So it's same as the Pri Megadim, same as the Alter Rebbe, right? Shehechiyanu first, and then the bracha on the fruit. But Din says the Mishnah Berurah, and by the way, the same thing would apply. In Toyim Ma'at, you ate a little bit of the fruit. Oh, I didn't say Shehechiyanu, and then Ve'achar Mevarach Shehechiyanu. Efshar the Gamza Toifu. I don't know why it says Efshar. That works too. You took a bite of the fruit and then you said shech. So you can say Borei Pera Eitz, take a bite, chew, chew, chew. Can't say the bracha when there's still food in your mouth. Finish chewing and then say Shehechiyanu. That should work too. Ubediavad, and after the fact, in Berach Shehechiyanu achar bracha sheberach ala ochila koyim shis chalitoin. If actually then you did say Borei Pera Eitz and then Shehechiyanu before eating, Gam Kain Ein Ze Hefsek.
Everything goes.
Everything.
You give all three opinions.
Not everything.
What?
You can't say it on Riyah. No, you can't say it on Riyah according to him. It's low plug.
No, I'm saying when you're eating the food, when
yeah.
to say it. He's saying it before, after.
There's the Chatchilim b'diavad.
Right. What if you did say it when you saw it?
He doesn't really say that.
Let's take a look at the Kaf HaChaim, and then we're going to wrap up with that. Kaf HaChaim, of course, is we already had the Kaf HaChaim on the previous page. Sfardim. Look at this. First of all, he said, why does it say Shehechiyanu, V'kiyimonu, V'higiyonu? It's the same three words that mean basically the same thing, right? Just say Shehechiyanu, or say V'kiyimonu, or say V'higiyonu. It's all the same thing. Why three things? So he says, Keneged Halali Nafshis Hashem, Ahala Hashem B'chaya, Azamel Lekai Be'oidi. It corresponds to these three verses in Tehillim. Rakech Simchin Ein Aleph, Eli Rabbos, Oisvav. Okay. Now, here's the point. V'yavarich Tchila Birkas HaPri. V'achar Kach Shehechiyanu. Look at that. And if you don't believe me, says the Kaf HaChaim, Halachas Ketanos, Chelik Aleph Siman Reish Lamed Vav, Yad Aaron B'Hagoyis HaTor, V'chein Kosov HaChida B'Sefer Yisroel Siman Vav, Uv'machzik Bracha Le'el Siman Chav Beis Ois Gimel, Shenoigim B'Achilas Pri Chodesh Levarach Birkas HaPri, V'achar Shehechiyanu Yu'uyin Sham. Look at all these sources I quoted.
Which we didn't see.
No. V'chein Kosov Pri Adama, V'chein Kosov Beis Menucha, Derech HaChaim, Chesed Halofim, Yofel Alev. Look at all the sources I'm telling you about, says the Kaf HaChaim. First the bracha on the fruit, and then the Shehechiyanu. And this is the way, as far as I know, most Sfardim paskin. Like the Kaf HaChaim says. Ashkenazim, I think there's a little bit of debate. I think it might depend which Ashkenaz. I'm pretty sure the Vilna Gaon says to do like the Sfardim. First the bracha on the fruit, and then Shehechiyanu. Umihu, says the Kaf HaChaim. However, Yeshoimrim Lavarach Shehechiyanu Koidem. Some say Shehechiyanu first. Ayin Eshel Avram, also known as, that's the Pri Megadim we have at the top of the page. Ois Zayin U'Maimer Mordechai. Ois Aleph, he was a French Rav, I believe from Paris, I think. Chassidus Yosef. So there are sources, says the Kaf HaChaim, that say that you should say Shehechiyanu first. Avol, he concludes, but Haminu Kesvar Rishoina. But the custom is like the first thing I told you, Lavarich Birkas HaPri Koidem, period.
But he doesn't give a svar though.
He doesn't bring a svara here. I actually was looking for the svara. Why did I not include it on the sheet? I don't remember right now. What was it?
Because as far as made sense, say Shehechiyanu first, because you would say by Re'iyah, but we don't do that. We're doing it by Achila, so we do it first. What's the svara to say
I don't remember right
I
now.
mean, what you said before about what's the main bracha? It's the ikr.
Right.
Because that makes sense that the main bracha would be on the fruit that you want to eat it. Oh, and by the way, I'm
So you
going
go
to say the
Right.
shechina. About this.
Lamaisa, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Lamaisa, by the way, either way,
Give a bunch of love.
You don't lose.
you don't.
You know,
Either way, you don't lose. Either way, well, you have what to rely on. Okay, so if you're Chabad, for sure you follow the alternate. What's the question? Even the Mishnah Berurah, not even. Mishnah Berurah says the same thing. Mishnah Berurah also says, where is it? Shehechiyanu kodim v'chakik v'rach b'racha Lachatchila, the Mishnah Berurah says that that's what you should do. Same thing as Alter Rebbe. First say Shehechiyanu, then birth grace. But practically speaking, if you did it the other way, you still did it. It's not a bracha batola. You have
and this is all berachos and nenin, not just eights, not just fruit. All berachos and nenin that you're going to say Shehechiyanu on. This will be their
right
the way they hold.
Correct.
Not mitzvahs, but I'm saying all berachos and nenin.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Now, what you can actually say Shehechiyanu on, some people want to say you can't really say Shehechiyanu on anything anymore because international shipping and like you can always get everything in season, out of season,
That's true.
whatever. But okay,
But it's new to you. It could be new to you. Does that have to be new to you? Or
that's not so clear. That's enough. New to you. It's like if it's been in season, or someone to say you cannot say Shehechiyanu on an esrog. Why not? Shulchan Aruch said it has to be Haroya pri chadash mischadesh mishana l'shana.
That's on the whole year, right?
And the Alter Rebbe says mishana l'shana oya filu shtei pa'amim b'shana, maybe even twice a year. But how often is the esrog? The esrog is on the tree the whole year. Right, in Sukkot, that's the drasha.
All 4 seasons, right?
Creates hadar, is hadar beilona mishana l'shana.
But you're not saying Shechin on the esrog. You're saying Shechin on the whole lulav and esrog, no?
No, that's the shechin of the mitzvah.
Right.
I'm talking about if you want to eat it.
To eat it. Oh, okay.
We have next door. My son after Yom Tov, he heard his Rebbe told him something about the kids brought in all the esrogim from Sukkot and they made like a jelly or something. There's a minute you're supposed to eat esrog on Tu B'Shvat.
That's what you're supposed to daven for. That you're
supposed to daven for the esrog.
Oh, do you still have that esrog vodka?
No, we drank that. We said l'chaim already.
You finished it?
Yeah, it's finished. But my son took
I
out
was
of the
gonna
freezer
say,
tonight,
yeah.
some esrog jelly he took out of the freezer.
Okay.
But I don't think it's say Shehechiyanu on it. Anyway, ad kan the halacha portion of tonight's learning.
Is there an extra one?
Yes, there should be a few copies here. Back to derech mitzvah secha,
Either one.
semach tzedek, taimei mitzvahs, the reasons for the mitzvahs. According to Chassidus, we are on chapter base,
See, I
page
did.
of test.
You gave me a thing.
Oh, you had a page marker there. That's perfect.
Yeah, you gave it to me last week.
Okay. So now we're not going to recap because we were already here. We learned it together. And this is really starting a new part of the mimer with a new concept, a new idea in the mimer. And it's streamed live on YouTube, so we can watch the replays if we need to recap. We're in Perek base. You have it over there?
Yeah.
Yours are maybe divided per parakim, and those English versions are maybe different. The afal patient is bar hated to tam mitzvah zu, even though we already explained Gishmak about the mitzvah already. Nevertheless, Adanish was a oid tam niflo. But there's another tam niflo, he calls it. Interesting. It's a tam niflo. How do you translate that?
Wonderful explanation.
Oh, wonderful, you said?
Yeah.
I would have said wondrous. But either way. Oy tam niflo. But oitzam matoiva shadam oisoloi ulachol ha'oilam bekimitzus azezu, with the givaldike good that a person does, loy for himself ulchoilam kuloi. You do a tremendous good for yourself and for everyone else by fulfilling this mitzvah of Ahavas Yisroel. And God forbid the opposite, says azezu. God forbid if you don't do this mitzvah. And chas v'sholom, if you transgress the negative commandment in the Torah of not hating your brother in your heart, your fellow in your heart. And what is this wondrous explanation? What is the tremendous good that we do when we do this mitzvah for myself and for the entire world? Let's go back to the statement of Hillel the elder that we mentioned earlier in the beginning of the Maimer, that the potential convert came and asked him, teach me the Torah while standing on one foot. Right? And what did Hillel say? Well, Shammai told him to get out of here. Shammai kicked him out, basically. And Hillel said, that which is hateful to you, don't do to someone else. So we asked the question, why is this mitzvah, as explained by Hillel in the Gemara, why is it be'inyan shlil? Why does he state it in the negative? Namely, he doesn't say love your neighbor as yourself. Rather, he says, ma'adasani aloch l'chaverach lo tavi. This that is hateful to you, don't do to someone else. He doesn't say the positive element, which we read simply by reading the verse. Means love the other person. That's a positive mitzvah. As Uncles translates, love your neighbor or your friend or your fellow, kivasech, as yourself. Why didn't Hillel just say that? Why did he have to say, whatever is hateful to you, don't do to someone else? Why did he express it that way? So the answer is that Hillel wasn't just telling the potential convert what is the core mitzvah of Judaism. He wasn't just telling him, listen, there's a mitzvah of Ahavas Yisroel, and everything else is just commentary on that mitzvah. He wasn't just saying that. He was actually interpreting and explaining the mitzvah by choosing to express it in the negative, rather than expressing it in the positive, as it says in the pasuk. So what does he say? Hillel's words, he's not just coming to tell the convert that there is such a mitzvah. He's giving a pirush in the mitzvah. He's explaining the mitzvah in a very deep way. What is he saying? Just like a person doesn't see their own faults, their own flaws. And that does not mean it doesn't mean that a person doesn't know their flaws. Of course you know your flaws. We all know our flaws. Who knows better than me? I know the best. On the contrary, I know what's wrong with me much more than you know what's wrong with me. I see it very well. You only can look at me and see whatever you see in front of you. And you can come to whatever conclusions you want to come to based on what you see. So you might know some of my flaws, sure. But me, but I know deep within my heart. I know with my heart what I struggle with, what my flaws are, what my faults are. I know too well. So that's the vart, he's saying. You know what's wrong with you. You know your flaws better than anyone. So ala kavana, so it's not that you don't know them. When we said just now that you don't see your own flaws, it doesn't mean you don't see them, you don't know them. You know them. Ala kavana she'ena chayiv teifes moki metzle klal. Lispod, we said. You just don't let it bother you. You ignore it. You sweep it under the carpet. You whitewash it. When you say Hashamnu, you go Hashamnu. Oh God, but you go like this, Hashamnu. Oh God, no, it's not so bad. Gozalia, I stole a little bit. The stealing was okay. It's not so bad. That's what it means. That's the pshat. Not that you don't know the flaws, but that you don't let it get to you. Sweep it under the rug. They say there was a chassid that somehow ended up in his travels, ended up in a town that he didn't know anybody there. was on the way from wherever to wherever and ended up in some town. Nobody knew him. He didn't know anybody. And he took sick. He took ill. And they saw the people in town. They saw it. This man's on his deathbed. So they came quickly to him and they tried to comfort him. Whatever. He's not going to make it. They said, "Listen, Madav Zogin Krishma. You have to say Krishma. Madav Zogin Vidu. You have to say Vidu. You can do the last confessional before a person goes to the next world. It's just, I don't have anything to confess. I don't have any sins." Like, no, really, come on. Of course you do. We all do it. We know what I know what my sins are. I'm sure you have some sins. Just kidding. He says, "No, I don't have any. I don't have any sins." The man was a tzaddik, by the way. He had no sins. I have no sins. They said, "No, come on. Of course you do." Okay, fine. Bring me a siddur. Bring me a siddur. Okay, you want? Okay, I'll say Ashamnu. No. Bogadnu. I was treacherous or traitorous. No, never did that. It's going through all of them. No, finally he gets to Latznu. We scoffed. Taka that I did. I scoffed and I made fun of the Misnagdim. But you know what? That I don't regret now either. So a person very much knows their flaws. They very much know where they fall short. It's just that we whitewash it. We kind of give ourselves permission. We don't always give other people permission to have flaws, but we give ourselves permission to have flaws. That's what it means. It's as if you don't see that. Why? Because of your great self-love. For all the flaws that you know, you let your own self-love cover it over. So again, instead of clapping Ashamnu Baganu, you give yourself a pat on the back. I did good. So you don't allow it to penetrate your midos and to affect your emotions. You just brush it away. And therefore, we're looking at the looking cloud. This ball means that you don't get affected. It doesn't bother you. That's what it means. You don't see your own flaws. Why don't you see them? Because they're washed over by your own self-love. You love yourself so much, which, of course, I hope you love yourself. But that ends up just making it that it's as if the love washes over and covers over and hides your own flaws from yourself.
What do you think that's actually true? Do you think that?
Do I think that's actually true?
The average
What do you
person, I'm speaking personally, I think, at all introspective at all, then you see all aspects of yourself, not just the beautiful things about yourself, the other things. No, it's clear. It's not like, I don't think necessarily that a real individual who's really honest with himself is going to gloss over things that he's seeing negative within himself, because he wants to improve himself. He wants to get out of that area and into a higher area. That's the purpose of why we're living, to move beyond the. How do you know how to move beyond if you don't know all aspects of yourself?
It's a good question. Someone asked me once if I was a Benoni. Benoni of Tanya.
Yeah.
Person who doesn't sin in thought, speech, or action. So of course I squirmed in my seat a little bit, got a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit schwitzing a little bit. What do you mean, am I a Benoni? Are you a Benoni? Or have you perfected your thought, speech, and action? Well, it's that you see, just that. Do you think you could be a Benoni? Yeah, of course.
What is the definition of Benoni?
The Benoni of Tanya.
Is
I'm taking it for granted because I'm giving a shirt Sunday nights in Tanya, so I'm thinking about it a lot. A Benoni is a person
which those things,
which doesn't sin in their thought, speech, or action. And the Alter Rebbe in Tanya says that everybody could do this. So the person asks you, do you believe you could be a Benoni? So of course I believe it. That's what the whole Tanya is about. I'm trying to be a Lubavitcher Chassid. The whole Tanya is about how you could be a Benoni. Right. How I could perfect and control my thought, my speech, and my action at all points in time. So the person said to me, then why haven't you done it yet?
What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? So you're right. Of course, a person who's serious, takes their life seriously, takes Yiddishkeit seriously, is going to make a cheshbon hanefesh. They're going to reflect on their own place and their own spiritual growth. And they're going to, hopefully, like you said, they're going to want to grow. They're going to try to grow. But so why do the same things keep coming back to me?
Well, you have difficulty in overcoming certain things. That's one aspect. When you do see it, and you realize it, maybe you rationalize the doing of it, and that it's not so bad.
Right. So maybe certain things I say that I'm going to fix. But there's this other thing I do that I don't want to say out loud that I'm just going to let it slide.
No, but
Even
even
give myself permission.
even if you don't let it slide, I think the thing is, you don't hold it against yourself that you have these flaws that
Ooh,
that you want
thank
to
you.
correct. I think that's the key.
Thank you. That's the nakuda. So many of us just completely ignore it. Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
It's convenient.
Now it's convenient. It's much easier to ignore than to deal with it, right? Now you mentioned, well, 1 second, some people are actually trying to grow in life. You're right. God bless them.
Well, we all are supposed to do.
I hope so. I hope that's what we're here. But I think that's the nakuda, what you just said. It's not whether or not necessarily I gloss over it or give myself permission for it. It's really that I don't hold it against myself. I give myself permission to have this flaw while I'm working on
You say
it.
it's a rationalization?
Maybe it's a rationalization. I think
Give
everything
myself permission. How would you define it? I allow myself to do it even though I know it's not right to do?
maybe I rationalize it. Maybe it's too hard for me right now. Maybe I'm not holding there. I don't know.
Okay, differently.
I don't know. I'll let everyone else explain that to themselves. But that's the point. I don't hold it against myself. I'm not a bad guy because of it. I have a problem. I have a struggle. Okay. Not a bad guy. I struggle in a certain area. So what? That's okay. Then I go like this. Shamnu, Bogadnu, Gozalnu, it's not so bad. That's giving myself the permission. But then, when someone else points out, when they see your flaw, and they know what your flaw is, because some of you let it slip, you let it out, and they see your flaw. Year goes mu'oid, then you get angry when they point it out to you.
It depends who it is, of course. If you know it's for your own good. I mean, right away,
You're a holy Jew.
I'm not a holy. No,
You're a
I'm
holy
just saying.
Jew.
No, I got a lot of holes. That's true, but I'm not saying. But at any rate, I'm saying the right person, if it's conveyed in a certain way, you appreciate it. If a guy is saying it, maliciously or whatever, it depends on how it comes across to you. It depends on what you're in the mood in that.
Maliciously, for sure, we don't appreciate
No,
it.
but if it says, look, I want to help you out here. I have something which I've noticed in you that I don't. It may be a problem. Okay, you qualify.
I think you're a holy Jew. I don't know if most people appreciate
No,
it.
I'm not saying. Well, it depends on everything. The delivery is like almost everything. If you say things, like harshly, even if you mean well, people will react in a certain way. If you say, well, look, you know me and I know you. I see certain things. You're a really good person. However, in this one little thing that maybe you could improve upon.
You're a really good person. However,
but no, I'm saying one little thing.
It's just one little thing.
You want to say in such a way that you won't be offended. Like the word here is
You're right.
enraged. Enraged is like extreme word. Okay, that's a tough word to accept. Enraged, who is enraged when somebody says to your friend says to you, I want to help you out and I want to point something out to you. Would you be enraged? I mean, I wouldn't be enraged. I say, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Can I point something out? No, I'm good.
You can point. You can. Only you.
No,
You can't.
just for Sean, I never would.
They're the only one that can't. Everyone else can. But never. So that's all I'm saying. This is
Okay.
But I think in those situations, it's because it's coming from a place of love.
That's true.
The same thing is like you talking to yourself. I also know I have this.
Right.
So if a good friend comes to you who
That's what I was gonna say.
he loves
Right.
you, so it's like you're talking to yourself,
That's
which is
true.
an extension.
That's true. Good point. That's true.
I mean, obviously, you're right. If it's malicious, for sure.
No, and then if you don't know the guy and he just comes along,
Yeah.
and if you have a relationship with somebody on some level, and it comes to and you know it's in a good place. It's just saying if you're a benefit, not
By the way,
because of what's telling you.
I heard a really good word about this from Y.Y. Jacobson said it in the name of Rabbi Friedman, who passed away. You know, the Rosh Hashiva of
So Friedman, well, let's
Phil Friedman.
I
Yeah.
know.
He said that Pesach. Hold on. Pesach. When the first Mishnah Psachim talks
Or
about
Lavasa.
right. First Mishnah Psachim, I think it's the first Mishnah Psachim. It talks about when you're all about right. So you're searching for chametz, right? And if you I miss it. Ein chosheshin. So we're not worried. Okay, just continue. I have to come back.
Well, since you mentioned you saw Friedman, I'll just share something I heard from him
Yeah.
once today. It's I don't know. It's I didn't hear from him. I heard it in his name. I'll just say it. I don't know what the point is, but I'll say it anyway. That's Bacher came over to me later, asked a question in the Gemara. So he says, "Bring me a Rambam. Bring me a Rambam." So Bacher comes back with a Rambam La'am for whatever sugya, whatever halachas there, Nizikin or whatever halachas there. Brings him a Rambam La'am. You know, the Rambam La'am is Rambam like Rambam La'am for the people. She says the Rambam on the top and then some like footnotes and comments on the bottom. So looks at what says name. Rambam. No, I meant a Rambam, meaning the regular Rambam with the commentary, the Kesef Mishnah, the Maggid Mishnah aside. Okay, whatever. Anyway.
That was good. Whatever it was.
Give me that
Thank you,
Rambam.
man.
I mean, like, what do you bring me a Rambam La'am for? Bring me a real book. The Rebbe learned that Rambam La'am, or learned Rambam from Rambam La'am.
I didn't heard that. Okay.
Well, let's see. Where's a good place to
Such a
pause
good
over
word.
here?
I'm so upset. I forgot the mission.
Take a Mishnah Pesachim over here. But if the person points it out, okay, Nochem, yeah, I guess if they're mentioning about it, and if they point it out nicely, and if they say, hey, do you mind if maybe we could have a schmooze, or even better, they don't just ask you, it's in the middle of a fabrengen, and they bring it up, or
In front of everybody else.
that's a whole other conversation.
What happened to them?
Yeah, I meant a one-on-one fabrengen.
I understand. Oh, I see.
Then you're going to get upset. Why you put even though you know it's true, so what are you upset? Why do you aggregate the guy for pointing out your flaw? It's not that you're angry that the guy pointed it out. He's not saying something false. It's just that the other guy knows what your flaw is, what your problem is. That he knows it, he's uncovered. He took it out from under the carpet and schlepped it out. But when you know your flaws, your own self-love covers over it. But when the other person points it out, he took it out from the carpet. And therefore, and you get angry at the other person for schlepping it out from under the carpet, revealing your flaw. And now, that guy made it into a thing. I was busy diminishing my flaws. I was busy giving myself permission and excuses. And this guy comes and points out my flaw. And that's what it means, what Hillel said. Hillel said, what is hateful to you, don't do to someone else. This pointing out the other person's flaws, don't do that to someone else. Don't see his flaws. Again, it doesn't mean to ignore them, but just like with yourself, you let it slide, or like you said before, it's not that you don't know about it, it's that you don't hold it against yourself. So too for the other person.
I got the words.
One second.
Finish the point.
Okay, there's no real great place to pause over here, so we'll just pause here because it's time anyway. We'll pick up next week. Yeah, what's the word?
So kol mokum she'en machnisim by chametz ein tzarich bedika, right?
Right.
So he says that so like what that means, like a place where you don't bring chametz, you don't have to check on Erev Pesach. You check places where you
Only
bring
where the
chametz.
chametz is, right?
Only right, where you bring chametz. It's like a closet or whatever where you're not gonna ever eat or bring chametz. You don't search there. So he says the word that somebody that does badika. I mean, now someone's criticizing you like they're doing a badika. They're telling you, the way you act, whatever. Let me give you a pointer. It's a badika, right? But if that person is your friend the whole year, right? They're with you all the time. They're there for you, right? They're machnisin. They bring the right. They're engaged with you. So then you could do, then you do badika. But a place where the whole year he has nothing to do with you.
Right.
He doesn't talk to you. He's not with you. And now all of a sudden he sees, you're doing something. You can do badika. No. Ain't tzarich badika. That was the word.
Good.
Great word.
That fits very well.
I think it fits very well with
Fits
this.
very well. Shukayach. It's very, very shma. Okay, we continue until next time.
Thank you.